And at the top of this hour, we're getting some breaking news. This is regarding US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky's meeting. We're getting some inside scoop on the meeting that is scheduled in Washington, D.C. Now, European leaders to back Zelensky in the meeting. Donald Trump wants Zelensky to strike peace agreement. Trump-Putin back peace deal more than ceasefire. And Zelensky to land in Washington, D.C. anytime from now. So that's the breaking news that's coming in at the moment. This is regarding the Donald Trump and Zelensky meeting. All eyes are now on the meeting, and we're learning that Zelensky will be landing in Washington from anytime from now, and the European leaders will be backing Zelensky in this meeting. So this meeting will also be attended by the European leaders who will be backing the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Donald Trump wants Zelensky to strike peace agreement, and Trump-Putin backed the peace deal more than ceasefire. Remember, Putin had demanded that Russia wants the Donets region, but we were learning that Zelensky does not agree with this demand. Zelensky has rejected this demand. It remains to be seen what happens in today's meeting. And we're now being joined by Daniel Block, who's a senior editor, Foreign Affairs from New York. Daniel, how do you see this meeting? Could this be a turning point as far as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned?
Well, if it is a turning point, I think it will only be the latest of what has been a pretty intense back and forth ever since Trump has come into office. For his first several months in office, he positioned himself quite closely to Putin, even as Putin continuously reneged on his word. But then shortly going into kind of in the weeks leading up to the Alaska summit, he started to align himself more with Europe to pursue a policy more in line with his predecessor, Joe Biden's. And then over the course of the meeting in Alaska, that was all upended. So could this upend everything again? Could he go back to where he was before the Alaska summit and side more with Europe and Ukraine? Quite possibly, but it's been a lot of whiplash here in the United States.
But Daniel, we also saw that Russian President Vladimir Putin had kept forward his demand that Russia wants the Donetsk region, and the demand was put forward to Ukrainian President Zelensky through Donald Trump. But we also learned that Zelensky had rejected the demand by Russian side.
That's true. And I would think that Trump would know this and would have known this going into Alaska. This has always been a red line for Ukraine. It's not willing to cede its territory to Russia. And I think what's particularly notable is that Putin is not only demanding that the world recognize the territory that Russia has already conquered and is currently occupying, but that Ukraine cede territory that it still controls to Russia. And I think what that really shows, and what Ukraine is well aware of and what the Europeans are well aware of, is that Putin is not really willing to negotiate a good faith end to this war. He hasn't backed off his maximalist war aims. But he seems to be very successful at sweet-talking Donald Trump into thinking that he is some kind of great compromiser and is willing to settle.